So you're so you're in Apollo Beach now.
Apollo Beach now, and I
Which is
leave
how far? So you're what, about 50 miles from me, give or take?
about, yeah.
So it'd take longer to drive there, but if you could fly an airplane, it's probably, I don't know, 50 miles.
Yeah. It took me about an hour to get to your house, with traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But you're getting ready to bail out on us, man. Where are you going?
so I'm actually, it's so funny. I'm going to Pensacola. It's my good friend of mine. She is a bomber pilot and she's retiring. So I'm going to her retirement party in the first week of June, June 7th, and then we drive up to Lake George, spend the summer there, and we'll be back in September.
Where's it for us? Where's that at?
Lake George, New York. So it's in the Adirondack Mountain area, region of New York. They call it North Country. It's a one of the most beautiful lakes. It's a 32-mile long lake, 200 feet deep. It's our drinking water under 8 feet. So once you hit below 8 feet, it's clean enough to drink. You could actually flip a quarter and watch it 25 feet down before you lose it.
No kidding. No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, so it's a feeder lake to Lake Champlain.
How long you had a place up there?
2020.
Okay, so recent.
Yeah, COVID purchase.
A COVID purchase. Wow, you bought it at the right time then,
We
didn't you?
bought it at the right time. Right, bought it at the right time. So it's on 64 acres. We only own an acre of it, but it's on 64 acres of logging trails, and so we have our own private trails. And the owner said, just don't ATV on it, don't snowmobile on it, just use it as your own trails. So we have tons of hiking trails, and it's us and maybe two other families that use it.
Okay, so
So
so I know people's asked. So you're with Crown Mortgage,
Crown Home Mortgage, yep.
and what's your position there?
So I'm one of the co-founders of Crown.
Very nice.
So we're not a we're a I'll call it, it's basically a DBA of a company called Absolute Home Mortgage, but it's a little deeper than that. Because we're kind of have a seat at the table and kind of behind the scenes, so to speak. So
Yeah.
we're their largest independent division, I guess. So we
So
do
like on your business card, is it loan officer, branch manager, owner? Like what's
I think it says licensed mortgage loan officer for the title, then it says co-founder of Crown Home Mortgage. So that's
I
two
got it.
parts.
Most of your loans from your production or other loan
I
officers?
don't do any production. It's all my entire team.
All right. So you have a team that's doing well, and you're getting ready to you're going. I was going to say you're going off the grid, but you're not going off the grid.
Not going on. I'm actually going closer to some of my branches. I have one branch in Tampa, um, and then we have our farthest north is Plattsburgh, New York. So that's about an hour and a half from Lake George, and then I have six of them between probably eight of them between Sarasota, New York, and Philadelphia.
Wow.
Actually Newark, Delaware is and then the next we have one in North Carolina, one in South Carolina, a couple in Florida, Ohio, Tennessee.
Where
Um,
in North Carolina?
our in Cary, North Carolina.
I know exactly where that is. So this is my backyard you're seeing in the background. I'm in High Point, North Carolina right now. So you've got a house up in New York. Mine is
Yep.
here in North Carolina. So that's where
Our
I'm at.
happy places, right? Are away from the Florida heat.
Away a little bit. So North Carolina is called a halfback state. Have you ever heard? Do you know are you familiar with that
You've
term?
told me about half, or someone told me about halfback. I think you were the one to tell me. You,
Yeah,
you went halfback.
somebody from New York, they move
Yes.
Florida and to get away from the cold, and they find out it's warm in
Yes.
Florida, and they spend one summer there. They go, "Holy cow, it's hot here," and so they move half back,
Yeah.
and so hence the halfback state. So you guys are having a pretty good run of it right now.
We are. We are. The wind is in our sails for sure. Been building well. Um, we started in 2019, March, so we've been about a little 5 years, 2 months, just two offices, and now we're up to 27. Um, it's been a good little run, not only building, business development, but just kind of, we have a fun story to tell, and we love sharing it with people, and we just kind of grow with the right people.
What's
And
what's the carrot like to have such massive growth in frankly, a very challenging time for most. What's the carrot?
I think it's a couple of things, right? I think it's one, um we invest a lot in our people, right? So we run a retail division, but then we have a branch model, a P&L branch model, and what we've really done is we don't care what direction you go in, you get the same support, you get the same love, you get the same tools. So we almost treat our P&L models like retail models. We have sales meetings, we pour into them, we recruit for them, we do sales activities with them, and I think that's helped. And then we honestly we've gotten a lot of play. What I've learned is loyalty or building happens when you support or follow the vision of your peer of your employees, right? So I'll give you a perfect example, and this is what has really helped us is a guy that was in Freedom Club, Adam Crosley,
Oh yeah.
worked for a big independent mortgage banker, and he said, "I want to be part of something that I can grow." Right? He felt he was lost, and it was culture, right? So he his vision was, "I want to help people, I want to coach, and I want to grow," um, we brought him on and brought in our own coaching, our own coaching program that follows, what you guys have built. And we have a lot of loan officers that are in MMA. We have a lot of loan officer branches that are in Leadership Academy, and that kind of attracted me to join. Honestly, in a fun way, every time they'd come back from one of your events, they would tell me all these things we had to invest in, and I said, "Boy, hold up." Stop
Yeah.
spending my money. Let me go in and let me see it for myself. And it's been awesome. I mean, um, a lot of tools that we have implemented have come from Freedom Club and Leadership Academy. Our coaching program, it follows the DSP. Our We have a tracking system that I'd like to say that I created it, but I stole it from someone else from Leadership Academy, and then Kevin Gillespie helped me kind of make it look cool. And then we use Power BI for that. And we track, and we've had some fun
So
with
tell me about the tracking thing. So you have a track. What do you mean?
So we use something called Power BI. And honestly, I'm not a tech guy. It's a Microsoft plugin, I guess,
Okay.
that basically every night our loan officers put their numbers in. It's just like putting their score down in a golf scorecard. And we've identified, you know, 7 to 9 things that are critical success factors, right? Things like how many realtors did you talk today? Did you have a live event? How many handwritten thank you notes? How many prospects? Did you call your pre-approval lookings?
Those things that we know works.
All the right, and they just keep track of it. And then what we did, so now it's in a
Wait,
database.
wait. Okay, hang on a second.
Okay.
How do you get them to fill it out? Because let's be honest here, right? We're
Yep.
totally transparent when we do these, and we're not throwing anybody under the bus.
Yep.
It's typically great salespeople may or may not be great detail people.
Correct.
And man, I've always struggled getting them to fill in the blank. Like, how do you get them to fill it in? Because they're self-reporting their own report card, kind of.
Yes.
How do you get them to do that?
So that's the biggest challenge. The first thing we did is we had a contest. We just had fun with it, right? And salespeople are very ego driven. So we did it. We took all the things that we thought were important and assigned points to them. And we basically had a contest. And what's kind of cool with Power BI is that you can track it all and you can have a leaderboard, right? So every week, every Monday, we show the leaderboard of who's based on points. So that was one. The other thing that we did that I thought was kind of cool was we have about 100 loan officers,
Okay.
and if you just recognize them for loans sent to processing and loans closed or dollars funded, it's the same top 5 to 10 people, right? And so we took our group and we put them into 3 categories:
Okay.
our top 10 or maybe top 15, right? So they're the most successful, but they're fighting each other every day to see who's at the top of the leaderboard. We took our middle group, or our middle third, and put them against each other. And those are full time. They're doing some business, but they're as of right now they're not in the top 15. And then we took everybody else.
Okay.
So everyone else had a chance to win the same prize at the middle group and then the top group. So that was important.
Otherwise, that's a great idea, brother. Because otherwise, I'm in a passing contest and I'm going against Tom Brady. That's it's like I'm not even going to show up because it's
Right.
like I don't have a chance. But if you give me a a, a one-armed broken leg
Right. That's what we did, right? So we wanted.
104-year-old man, I got a chance. I have an
Right.
actual chance. So
That's right. So
yeah,
you know what
I
it
like
was?
that. It's a great idea.
Our thought was, you know what? I want to go peer against peer, right? And I want the brand new the new loan officer to say, you know what? If I do these activities, um, I'll be successful, right? And it's funny. We have a girl that was a loan officer assistant, non-producing, helping people, and you know through economic times that position was eliminated,
Okay.
right? She was licensed, and she was like, oh my gosh, where am I? I love Crown. I don't want to go anywhere. So we developed her into a loan officer. And it just so happened the same time that you and Kevin came to our summit, which thank you, by the way, that was very impactful. And we rolled out our DSP and we rolled out our contest all in that event. And she's like, I'm going to win. And guess what? Not only did she win her flight, right, the lower flight, she's closing $2 million this month. So that's the real win, right? Like our prize of so we gave a prize of I don't know if you know Masterclass.
Yeah.
So we which by the way is a great this also came from Moshe and Joel from Mint. I have to give them a actually that's true not true. That came from Giancarlo who's out in California. Um he's the one that came up with the prize. He corrected me at our last leadership event. He's like, no, that was my idea. So Masterclass. We bought it. If you're looking for an incentive, I mean, you can get 10 people for 2 grand for the whole year. So we gave prize winners to that, and that people were motivated by that. They're like, I want that. And Masterclass has got some cool sales skills or life skills to fun stuff as well, right? So cooking to reading people and FBI profiling, right? So a lot of kind of cool things. We did that, and then we gave a monetary, I think it was like a gift card, monetary, and if they hit certain numbers on production, they could double what the big prize was. So you know, she went from doing zero and not even a loan officer in January to this month she'll close 2 million. I think last month she closed 1.5 million. So
What's her name again?
her name is Lisa Wood.
Good for Lisa.
She's
I mean,
she's
closing 2 million. I don't know the exact number, but that's got to be in the top 5%.
uh yeah,
And
I would say top
it,
10, top
I,
10% of
it,
our
I- top 10% for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so she's doing well. We had another guy who was he's funny, a top
I could talk
producer.
to her.
What's that?
I'd like to talk to her.
Yeah. I
I
think she
would
was
love to interview. Hey, January, I closed 0 loans, and then this month I've closed 2 million. I'd like to hear more of that story.
she will
So
she's actually one of our uh you've taught us some things that just from recruiting and it applies to sales, right? It's just recruiting, building realtor business, right? You show, tell, teach, sell.
yeah.
So we are doing a recruiting video where she's going to tell her story. And
Mm.
um, I don't know if she knows that yet. So maybe when she sees this podcast, I'm going to ask her to volunteer, but hopefully she will.
Okay. Yeah, hook me up with her. I'd love to interview her.
Yeah, I definitely will. I definitely will. So she was one, and the other success stories we had two top five producers literally go after it. And every week they're like, how many numbers, to the point that they were questioning the results of each one. And a lot of fun. And it was funny. It was one of our guys, top producer, but had a tough year, like everybody did, right? 2020, what year? 2023 was a tough year and was down. And he left January. He said, on his flight home from our event, he mapped out how he was going to win the daily success tracking contest. And guess what? He's back on, back producing at a high level and doing 8 to 10 loans a month. And his name's Will Kadadich, and he just, kind of used the contest as a way to re-engage. And it's funny, and it's something that you said to me, right? It's like, I hope this doesn't. Hope this is not letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak. But it's like
Brother, let the cat out.
we all know what to do, right? It's not science. It's not some magical like like calling people and saying hello and checking in. And the scripts that um that are provided are gold, right? They are highly professional, but it doesn't matter. Just picking up the phone and doing it, right? Seeing people, see the people, engage, build relationships. But sometimes you just need that like business track, right? Mondays, like, it's funny. Adam, like I said, our coach says, my job is boring because I do the same thing every Monday. I do the same thing every Tuesday. I do the same thing every Wednesday, but I do it. And guess what? I succeed at a high level, right? So
It's funny how that works. So what do you think? One of my favorite questions. Well, like you're right. We all know what to do. We all know to contact our past database and ask for more business. We all know to hook up with referral partners. We all know that if we've got somebody that's pre-approved, oh, I don't know, let's follow up with them to make sure that we're their lender. Like we all know these things. What is it that you think holds most people back?
I think it's call reluctance, but I think the reason why there's call reluctance is we've been ingrained our whole lives. You only have one shot to make a first impression.
Mm,
So our call reluctance is fear of messing up. I
mm,
got one shot to impress Carl White, let's say you're my real estate agent. I have one shot. I see him on my Focus 40 list, and then I'm like, I can't pick up the phone because what if I say the wrong thing? So I never do. I never get to meet you because I'm afraid that if you won't like me on that first call. I think
mm.
that's the
Brother, I think you nailed it. The funny part of it is you go, well, I don't want to call because I might screw it up. And if I screw it up, then they won't send me any deals. So I'm not going to call. So I'm not going to get any deals. So I've got my worst case scenario, not getting any deals. I've already got that before I open the door. Like
right,
I'm, yeah, I'm gonna accept the worst case scenario as the God-given truth
right.
by not starting it in the first place for the fear that they might not send me any business. When you voice it out like that, it sounds crazy, but
That's
that's conversation in our heads.
yeah, and one thing I teach is that I always use an analogy of American Idol. Right? I teach this in my newbie sales training. I said we've all watched American Idol, right? And I haven't watched it in years, but I was like, we all know the really good ones, right? First, I always ask, hopefully you're not a professional singer, Carl. I don't think you're a professional singer. I haven't heard you sing, so um, but I'm like, we all knew the ones that would get three S's, right? The Simon, Paula, and Randy, right? Three S's. We knew, they're going to the next round, and we
Yeah.
knew the ones that were going to get three no's, the funny ones that were just there to, we knew they were bad. And there's that middle third that you and I might say, yeah, they're pretty good. I could hear them on the radio. And they'd get to Randy, and Randy say, nice pitch, dog. And Paula said, oh, you have a great voice. And they get to Simon. Simon's like, yeah, they're right, but you're never going to make it because you're not memorable, right? And I think that I relate that to sales. Like you could be the greatest loan officer in the world. You could know, and I'm not a guy. I was never a guideline guru when I was a salesperson. I had other people that, but you could know how to calculate income and FHA loans and read credit reports and do all that stuff. But if they don't know you exist, you're never going to be successful, right? So it's all about marketing, right? It's all about getting people to know you exist. And yeah, I think that we as loan officers, and I think about it, right? And we use AI and we use marketing and we use all this stuff, but it still comes down to belly sales. And I think that that's where I have this fear that my competition isn't your mortgage company, my mortgage company, the next mortgage company. It's the Amazons, that
Yeah.
says, oh, I want to get in the mortgage business. And the only way to preserve it is belly to belly sales, right? And it's relationships with realtors, it's relationships with financial planners, tax accountants. It's just letting them know you exist. If you let your past customers, right, knowing that you're still in the business, who do you know? Friends, family, relatives are looking to buy, sell, or refinance. That's it. That's
You
it.
you know what though, man? I tell you what I think your secret sauce is that you stumbled upon, and maybe you didn't stumble upon, maybe you did this by design, is I think I love the tracking and I love the putting them in different groups. And because I think the thing that's just so motivating is being around the right people and being around people that push me, even if they don't do it directly, just by watching them win. Like what's was it Lisa? What's the lady's name
Lisa
that
Wood. Yep.
Lisa Wood? So like with Lisa, gosh, if I was just getting started, that would be such a it's a motivating thing for me now.
Yeah.
But especially if I was just getting started, I see that and I go, dang it, Lisa just started in January and she's already at 2 million. I could do that. Like maybe at least the thought was maybe I could do that too. Maybe I'll have that same results. And I think it's hanging out with the right people is just so critical, and staying away from the Eeyores, staying away from the, well, that's not going to work. They don't want to hear from you and all that crap. Because that's already going in our head. God knows I don't need somebody else in my head saying that. I already got one, which is me.
Right. I always say
I don't need somebody else.
Breeds positivity just as much, and not as much as negativity breeding negativity, right? And you've got to, and I also think that in a contest, right? If you're doing a sales contest or any contest, I think two things. One, it can't be a long-term contest, right? You got to have 60 days is probably the max. You could maybe do a 3-month contest, right? But you don't want to do a year contest. So you got to keep it short, right? Because it keeps people engaged. The other thing is, if you're the manager or the leader of the contest, you've got to be in your face all the time. Like you've got to, it's more work, right? Because you every day, hey, make sure you do this, make sure you do this. Here's the leaderboard, right? Every Monday, do the leader.
Here's what Lisa's doing. Here's what Bob's doing. Yeah.
And share it. We do bi-weekly all company meetings, and we recognize we put them on pedestals, right? I used to put people on pedestals. I still do for results, right? Because sales is a results business. But I've learned, and probably through Freedom Club, right, is don't worry about the results. Worry about the activities, right? And recognize those people. And that's where tracking it has helped me, right? Like, hey, I saw you wrote 20 handwritten, and it saying in front of the group, like, man, it must have been how long did it take you? And what did you do? What did you say? Right. And if you can get people thinking on the results, I always say that, if you're a baseball fan, and I know your baseball story, right, that you've told, but the Barry Bonds, I'm a 90s baseball, 80s, 90s. Barry Bonds,
I get it.
The number of home runs he hit. Well, maybe he did, but he thought about is his elbow up, is his stance right, knowing it comes, right? Tiger Woods doesn't, not baseball, but I'm switching gears, but Tiger Woods, I always thought one thing I liked, he had 4 majors at the same time, right? When he had the 4 majors, and he fired his swing coach at holding all 4 majors, right? Because he's like, you know what? I want to get better, right? And I think about that. I think those two things are really important. Like you don't focus on the number of your score. You focus on how you're keeping your elbow up or your shoulders down or whatever, things. And I think that's important in sales, right? I think sales and sports are so hand in hand, work on the skill and the results come. And the skill plus the activity.
Yeah. Activity comes before results. Focus on the activity.
Yeah. It's like the skill versus will, right? Like the skill drive will, does will drive skill? And I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you got to have the will. I've seen a lot of people do amazing things will-wise with no skill, but they just refuse to fail.
We started doing something, and it wasn't my idea. I'm not exactly sure who came up with it, but we started this contest thing that's been working pretty good. So we've been doing it for 2 months now so far. And man, I love that. Keep the contest short. That's great advice. I haven't thought about that. That's great advice. So what we're doing is everybody that turns in an application, close, don't close, doesn't cover that. Just an application, an application with a contract.
Like intent to proceed, like a real
intent to proceed, right? So every application that's turned in, they get their name on a piece of paper, like the loan officer, like in your case, Lisa. Yeah. So Lisa puts her name on a piece. She does another contract, another application rather. She gets 2 names that put in now. Somebody's only got 1 loan for the month or 1 application for the month. That's okay. They get their name 1 time. Somebody's doing 10. Well, they're in there 10 times. Yeah. And then we put them all in this big barrel, like a bingo barrel, and shake it up and pull a name out. So even if you only have 1, you got a chance.
Yeah.
Right. Now, obviously, if you got 10, you got more of a chance.
Yeah.
Even the one guy can win. And we're doing it as a a little cash prize.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty interesting idea because it kind of goes in line with what you're doing. Is you got to have it so that the newbie person has a shot. And
Yeah.
I love the way that you're separating them in different groups because then you rise to the top of the newbie class,
Yeah.
and you go into, we'll call it the junior class before the senior class. You just
Yeah.
keep rising, and so now you're at the bottom of the junior, but the top of the junior is achievable,
Right.
right? You start pecking your way up the pecking order, and good stuff, man.
It's like the soccer, right? With the different flights. I'm not, like if you can
Yeah,
go up a flight or go down a flight based on.
double A, single A,
Yeah.
yeah. So
The
good
other thing
stuff.
that we did that was kind of interesting, I guess I got this from my SAT days, is we had point totals, right? You had uh, point totals for different things, right? Loan an application with points, closings with points, calling past customers. But one of the most amount of points was just logging in for the day. We gave 25 points just for, it's like the SATs. Put your name on the paper, you get the most points.
Yeah,
So
you got 500 already.
yeah, so
Right.
even if you don't do it, like even if you're like, I didn't do anything today, but I only called one customer. You
Great
got
stuff.
25 points for putting your name in, but just by doing that, right? So we gave the most amount of points just for playing.
Well, Rick, I am getting ready to go meet some dear friends that I've had for 30 years, and we're going to go grab lunch
Nice.
in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I'm getting ready to.
Barbecue, hopefully. North Carolina barbecue is pretty good.
All right, so I'm going to go on record, and I'm going to get a lot of hate email because of
Uh-oh.
it. Right?
I
'Cause
just, I just, I just opened a can of worms.
you start talking about people's barbecue, that's you might do better talking about their mother rather
Right.
than talking about their barbecue, right? So I mean, it's right up there, right? So I love Carolina barbecue. I love Carolina barbecue. The problem is I went vegetarian about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and so I can smell it. And you can put the sauce
Yeah.
on like corn on the cob and Brussels sprouts and whatnot. But I love Carolina. If you're listening and you've never tried Carolina barbecue, it's just another level of special. So
Can I
anyway,
can I can I throw one thing out to you? I don't know if you had it.
tell me,
Jackfruit. Have you had
I
jackfruit
love
before?
jackfruit. In fact, I literally have some in the refrigerator. So I love
You can make
jackfruit.
jackfruit barbecue, or
And you know what? Tofu is way underrated. So
right.
tofu is actually I grilled some tofu last night, and man, it's
My girlfriend is a vegetarian, well, pescatarian, fish, but
yeah,
no, and a lot of dietary allergies: gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free.
dude, I
Um,
feel so much better.
yeah,
I feel so much. I got so much more energy. I feel so much better. I do. It's I don't think I'm ever going to go back. I think I didn't when I did. I didn't think. Yeah, I did actually. I said I'm going to do it for at least a year. Because I wanted to give a real good base, and I love it. So anyway, well, the lovely Mrs. White just walked in, and she's
all
saying, "Hey,"
right.
so I'm going to go. Hey, Rick, great stuff. Hey, if somebody wants to reach out to you, Rick, and hear more about what you guys do,
I'll give you
what's what?
two numbers. My phone number is always 973-479-4682, or you can email me rriddle, so it's RRIDDLE at crownhm.com. But call me. I like to talk to people. Call me or
Awesome.
text.
That'd be a great call, Rick. You're an awesome dude. It's an honor to be on this journey of life, rowing the boat down with you. And you're a class act, man. I really appreciate you.
I'll see you. Our next event is in Clearwater, right?
Well, so we have the boot camps coming up.
Yes.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, so a shameless plug on that. If you're listening and want to come hang out with us, want to come hang out with the famous Rick, Rick Riddle, if you go to mastermindretreats.com, and on it we spell out exactly what the data success plan is, and then Chris helps us with how do you weave technology in with it to make it even better, even faster. So, Rick, you're an awesome dude. I
Thanks.
love you, man. So
Thanks,
thank
Carl. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Bye bye.